hey, I got an opinion, I got a point of view, don't take me too seriously. It's more of an opinion than a fact. And I think, generally speaking, we are too obsessed by measurable facts to the extent that sometimes it's hard to tell an opinion or a point of view because people get stuck with details and measurable facts. It's like if I would say it's 100 degrees outside versus that I would say it is so hot outside that I would melt. Now obviously the first sentence is accurate and it's a fact-based. I can go and measure it. But it tells me less than the last sentence when I say that I would melt if I would go outside. First of all, the second one tells equally well that it is pretty hot outside. But it also tells about my feeling and my opinion about that heat wave. So it kind of has more information even though it is not strictly speaking true. I think back in the days maybe people were more ready for these different types of expressions. Like if we read old texts about kings and rulers, it's not rare to find funny descriptions, like sounds like these kings had superpowers. Like somebody might write that he was brighter than the sun. And it's obviously not true, and nobody took it like that, but it's not lying. It's not like a thing that you would go and measure and then subject to peer reviews that if his face is really brighter than the sun. No, it's just a way of saying that, the king is a jolly good fella. No more than that. And we kind of lost a little bit that in our fascination of measurable facts. So what I'm going to talk about today is not a measurable fact. It is a fact though, because it's my opinion and my opinions are so strong that you can consider them facts. Now, every now and then I hear people saying that you should stick to one single camera and one single lens. Maybe even one single type of film, and learn them perfectly before you move on. And that's how you become a good photographer. Stick to one type of equipment before moving on. And I think that is not only wrong, but it is actually quite dangerous and may become an obstacle for your artistic development. I believe that almost any art has two aspects to them. There's a physical side, like if you are a painter, you need to physically move color on a canvas. You need to know how to do it. And then there's an artistic side of the art. How do you touch somebody emotionally? How do you make them feel something? And these two aspects go hand in hand. And almost all the arts have that. I like all arts that I can think of. So if you think about, say, music, poetry and photography. Let's first talk about music. Now, if you really want to become a musician, an instrumentalist, you need to spend years and years training on that instrument of your choice. 8 hours a day, 20 years, and then you start to become a master in your craft. And then you can start at some point, also take the emotional part into your game, and you can start to tell a story musically. But there's a huge amount of training, like you need to train scales. Hours and hours and before you can play a meaningful tune and song and create an emotion. You get my point? Emotional side, physical side go hand in hand, but in the art of music, the physical side is extremely demanding. So let's take then poetry. So I want to be a poet and I write some poets.
English for us foreigners. Poet, that's a T. Poem, that's an M.
There's a physical side too, like I need to be able to write. I need to have a pen, I need to know how to use a pen or pencil, and I need to have some paper. But it would be insane to say that I need to stick to one type of a pencil and one type of a notebook and paper and train, years and years with these equipment before I really can be a master. So it's almost like in the other extreme from the music. Writing is trivial, like especially with modern tools. I guess you don't need to write anymore. You can just dictate to your computer and it writes down for you.
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? New line. Caught in a landslide? No escape from reality.
Physical side is trivial in poetry, but the emotional side is hugely complex, equally complex than in music. It takes a lifetime to truly master poetry and become a poet that can touch somebody's heart and mind. What about then photography? Is it closer to music? Should you stick to one single instrument and train, hours and hours a day, years and years? Or is it more like poetry that you can sort of like almost forget about the physical side and immediately go to the artistic side? I think this is even more simple than poetry. I mean, aperture and time, and then press of a button. I can't think of any art form that is easier than photography. Press of a button, especially if you think about modern tools with automatic settings. Like, it is just insane to claim that you should spend years and years, training to press a button or set an aperture. That's crazy talk. Now, emotional side is equally difficult than in poetry or in music. It takes a lifetime to become a good photographer and to be able to create photography that is meaningful. Therefore, my suggestion is that anybody who wants to do that should spend their time focusing on that storytelling, those emotional aspects, and use as many tools and as many gear and as many techniques as possible, because those are not really important in the art of photography. Now, if your cup of tea is the technical aspects of photography, if you are interested in the mechanics of cameras, into the technical execution of picture taking, nothing wrong with that. But then I wouldn't call that necessarily art. With all due respect, it's more engineering, it's more technical aspects. Once again, no problem with that. But if you think about the artistic expression of photography, the physical side is trivial. You should not really claim that you should spend time with one single camera. Actually, I think it is easily counterproductive and can work against you. I see a lot of photographers taking technically excellent pictures, but emotionally empty. And they spend years and years of honing their technical capabilities, getting all the shades and all the, lightning and, zones and, all that bollocks and getting them right, and totally forgetting the artistic side. And yeah, I mean, it's dangerous it is dangerous if you stick to one camera only. You should use as many cameras as possible. Experiment with the physical side of photography, because it's trivial, and find the tools that suit for you. Now, don't believe in those who say that stick to one camera. They are wrong. I'm right. I'm typically right, and I'm especially right about this. Now I'm just expecting the comments to arrive. Don't take me too seriously. See you later.